And once again, he feels sweeping through him a sense of dissolute sweetness.
What's it like to forget about convention, about doing the right thing, to forget about being good and just be bad? Oh, rapture.
On the third day of his stay, Hugh now very much wants to buy a thick, warm rug, like the one that James has, for lying out on his lovely, comfy lounger on his balcony in the pure mountain air. So down they go to the well-stocked, overpriced village store to get one.
Look, you could buy one of these. What's that? A fur-lined sleeping bag. Nice. Don't look now, but we've been spotted. What? Professor Jones. Oh, yes. Is he coming to buy some new clothes? He ought to. Shh. Good morning to the both of you. Good morning, Professor. Good morning. Forgive me, I saw you browsing. I felt the need of good company. At breakfast, I was surrounded by morons. There's a man sat next to me who's never read a book, but I can't forgive us. He thinks this is something to boast about. It is a rather mixed bunch, isn't it? There's a person like that at our table. Stour. So listless, lacking in list. I suppose the poor thing is ill. Yes, indeed. But to be so stupid and sick as well is kind of pitiful. If someone's ill, you want to be respectful and serious, don't you? You don't want them to be silly. Illness deserves respect, doesn't it? No. No? No. Illness is not elegant, not venerable. Once upon a time, people believed that illness was the high road to heaven. We got rid of that kind of nonsense with the Enlightenment. I beg your pardon, I was only... Backsliding. What? Intellectual backsliding. Right back to the horrors of the Middle Ages. Get this straight. Illness is not elegant, is not deserving of respect. It is a debasement, and to honour it is an aberration. The real tragedy is when a noble life-affirming mind is joined to a body unfit for life. That's a tragedy. A soul without a body is as inhuman as a body without a soul. A human who lives as an invalid is only a poor body, and that is the most inhuman of debasements. That's funny. Hugh, you were talking about something like that. Was I? Oh, forgive me, boys. I'm interrupting your shopping. I'm just buying a blanket so that I can lie out on the balcony like James. The rest cure, is it? Yes. Well, good day then, gentlemen. I'll see you at lunch, no doubt. Yes. Goodbye. What was all that about? I have no idea. He really doesn't like buying a blanket, does he? No, I got that. Hugh, what? You're not getting fed up with all this, are you? No, not at all, honestly. It feels as though I've been here for God knows how long already. It's absurd, it feels like months, but I'm really enjoying it. It's good for me too. Since you've been here, I feel as if I have you to cling on to, so to speak. Oh.
Every Monday morning, Dr. Crowmarsh gives a lecture to the patients and staff of the sanatorium. Today, his theme is
Love and illness. What? You heard? You coming? I want to go for a walk. A real walk, right after breakfast. Just get away for a while. Fair enough. I'm just going to stroll up into the woods. Well, don't overdo it. Remember the altitude. Yeah, okay. If you set off now, you could be back in time for the lecture.
It's a cool, fine morning. Hugh climbs up through the pine woods until he finds a beautiful view opening before him.
Maybe I should just sit down.
A mountain stream rushes down over boulders towards the valley which spreads out below. The ground is carpeted with flowers. Beside the stream is a rustic bench.
Sit down. Yes.
But as soon as Hugh sits, he gets a nosebleed.
Oh, shit.
It takes a long while for the bleeding to stop. He has to dip his hanky in the stream, lie on his back on the bench with his handkerchief to his nose. He lies there with his eyes closed, just breathing. And suddenly, he's 13 years old again, back in the playground, talking to another boy. This boy has red blonde hair, slightly slanted blue-grey eyes, and high, strong cheekbones.
It's Marcus. Marcus Miller.
For a year, at least, Hugh has admired Marcus Mower, watched him talk and laugh with feelings so strong that Hugh considers them fundamental to his young life. He doesn't know the boy, never even speaks to him. It's not friendship. But he loves the surges of emotion that come when Marcus walks past him, perhaps even looks at him. Marcus's eyes, when gazing at nothing in particular, can darken, almost melt into a veiled, dusky look. Hugh loves the silent, tender satisfaction that his secret gives him. And so it goes on for a year, until one day Hugh is due for drawing class, and he finds that he doesn't have his pencil, and that he is standing next to Marcus in the playground.
Marcus,
Yes.
could you lend me a pencil?
Sure. Here you are.
Thank you.
Give it back to me after class.
I will.
And they look at each other and smile. And after his drawing class, Hugh gives back the pencil. And that's it. But he is never happier in all his life than during that class when he sketches with Marcus Mower's pencil.
Marcus Mower. I haven't thought about him for years. But he looks like her. The French woman who slinks, Madame Cite. Is that why I've been so intrigued by her? Or maybe that's why I was so interested in him, because... no, that doesn't make any sense. I'm talking rubbish. Well, I better go down. Oh, dizzy. Steady on. I'll be better when I get moving. I feel very odd. My heart is beating so hard.
Keep in mind, one ought not to conclude that the hall itself...
By the time Hugh makes it into the back of the lecture, his face is pale, and there's a bloodstain on his linen jacket from the nosebleed. The overall effect is of a murderer fresh from the crime scene.
Excuse me.
He squeezes along a row at the back to an empty chair.
Excuse me. Thank you.
But when he sits down, the woman sitting in front of him turns around and studies him with her grey-blue, slanting eyes.
Bloody hell. Madame Civet's just staring at me. Look at the lazy way she's sitting, typical door slammer's slouch.
And while Hugh glares at the hunched shoulders of Madame Civet, he listens to the lecture on love and illness.
Fear, conventionality, all these repress love. At best, giving in only partially to its wild demands, but never permitting them a conscious, active existence in all their force. But the demands of love cannot be coerced. Suppressed love is not dead. It reappears in a different, unrecognizable form. In what form does unsanctioned, suppressed love reappear? In the form of illness.
Hugh wants to think about this, but he is easily diverted by the head directly in front of him and the arm which reaches up to tuck in a braid of hair.
As I said before,
She likes her nails.
analysis can help. Help with shame and suffering. With the effects of analysis, light pierces the dark unconscious and
How they dress just to please themselves or
Let
others.
me say again,
Oh my God, life's beautiful.
any of you who think you can benefit from analysis are welcome to try it. It's all part of the treatment.
Analysis. You must be kidding. Heavens, all this has got nothing to do with me.
Madame Civet is always late for meals. To begin with, every time she comes in, Hugh whips round and glares at her. But after a while, he gives up on that and just stares at his plate, or elaborately looks the other way. Or sometimes he bites his lip and glowers, because somehow he feels responsible for the offence. Somehow he's an accessory to it, and he actually starts to feel ashamed. Ashamed for Madame Cite in front of all these people. Which is absurd, because no one cares about the door slamming, or even notices it, apart from little Miss Robinson, who sits next to Hugh at meals. She has begun to sense his feelings towards the door slammer, and to see through his pretended indifference. In any case, he is very bad at pretending.
That's her. Here she comes. Don't look up. There she goes. Oh, isn't she gorgeous?
She moves like a kitten sneaking up on a bowl of milk.
Oh, now she's saying hello to everyone at her table. You could give her a glance.
No.
If you change seats with me, you get a much better view.
No, thanks.
Why not? It's refreshing to watch her. She's just a spoiled princess. That's why she's so debonair.
Not so annoying, you mean?
Oh, it's fun, though, to be annoyed by people, isn't it? Careless, beautiful people. They annoy you, and it's just one more reason to love them, isn't it?
She's not wearing a wedding ring.
No.
I thought she was married.
She's definitely married. She just doesn't bother to wear a ring. Doesn't care for convention. Such a lovely creature. At the peak of her beauty, don't you think?
And what about her husband? Does he ever visit?
Oh, he's a civil servant, apparently. That's somewhere on the continent. We've never seen him, because he never visits. 3 months this time, no sign of him.
This isn't her first visit.
No, third. And she goes to other places. Maybe she goes home now and then, but I believe that they live separate lives.
She's ill.
But not that ill. But maybe other reasons for her independence. We think so. Anyway, French husbands, who knows?
You think it's his fault that they don't get on?
You think it might be hers?
Her way with doors is anything to go by. But you're on her side because you've got a massive crush on her.
What an idea! Shame on you, Mr. Castle. You're making me blush. You thought we'll see.
It's a strange game they're playing. Hugh teases little Miss Robinson so that he can talk about Madame Cite. And she likes playing matchmaker and enjoys being flirted with and teased. And they both know this about themselves and each other. And they also know that each of them knows this about themselves and each other. And it's all very tangled and sordid. But Hugh continues to splash about in these murky waters because, after all, he's leaving in a week or so, isn't he?
If you're so infatuated with her, you must know what her first name is.
Not necessarily.
So you don't know it.
It's Claudia.
Claudia.
Yes.
Claudia.
It suits her.
Your Claudia is now rolling her bread into little pellets. Rolling bread pellets isn't very refined, is it?
Oh, that depends on who's doing it.
Once or twice, Claudia Cite looks Hugh's way and catches him looking at her. And the third time this happens, she smiles and glances away.
She knows I'm looking at her.
Her face speaks to him like nothing in the world.
Exotic. Mysterious.
Eyes which, when gazing at nothing in particular, can darken, almost melt into a veiled, dusky look. The way she looks at him fills him with hope, but at the same time a feeling of eerie, threatening helplessness.
She's looking at me.
Their eyes meet. As the sick woman looks over at him with a kind of vague mockery, and he stares back fiercely, her napkin begins to slip from her lap. Oh! As it falls, she clutches at it. Oh! And misses it. Oh! Hugh starts up from his chair, ready to fling himself blindly across the room to intervene in the unfolding napkin disaster. Oh! She manages to grab it just in time, but she's scowling, annoyed at her own clumsiness, at her panicky grab, or at him, even, for somehow causing all of this. And now, bent over, holding the napkin by one corner, She glances over at him and sees him half out of his chair, ready to leap to her assistance. She turns away with a smile.
She smiled.
For the rest of the meal, she does not turn his way once. The meal ends, and the guests begin to drift into the common rooms, but James and Hugh sit on at their table for a moment.
Gentlemen, may I join you?
I'm just going. You can have my seat.
My dear Stour, how are you?
Mary had a little lamb. Its feet were made of lard. For every step it forward took, it slipped back half a yard. That's me.
And how is your doppelganger?
You are.
Your body double?
I haven't the faintest idea what you're on about, matey Peeps.
Yesterday evening, I see a light on your balcony where you must be resting, taking the cure as expected. But I have just heard that you were also seen at exactly the same time down in the village at a certain bar or nightclub.
You cheeky monkey.
With a certain person?
Don't believe a word he says. It was my double thingy. Cheeky monkey.
Professor Jones sits down and proceeds to tell them about his literary work.
There are two elements that fight for this world: might and right, tyranny and freedom, superstition and knowledge, stagnation or change, obstinacy or progress. There's no doubt which will win in the end.
Which?
The forces of enlightenment, the dignity of man. That's where we must fix our thoughts, not on...
Not on what?
It doesn't matter.
But Hugh knows what. Not on
Slinking, sick, dark-eyed, door-slamming Madame Claudia Civet.
We are reaching the end of Hugh's third and last week at the sanatorium, and it's time to let you in on a little secret. Hugh's got a trust fund. That's right. Our hero is a trustafarian. Don't hate him. It's not his fault. His parents died when he was young. His father had a business, and the money was well invested for Hugh, enough to leave him very comfortably off. Now that he's due to leave the sanatorium in a couple of days, he's already settled his bill, and he's worked out that if he wanted to, he could afford to stay here as long as he liked, because his allowance more than covers it. But, of course, he's going. On Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. Poor James's gentle eyes grow sad every time the subject comes up.
I'll miss you.
It won't be long. Time flies here.
Oh, you'll be getting on with your masters and I'll be stuck up here.
I wish you were coming down with me.
When you'll feel better, you'll feel like you've had a holiday, won't you?
Of course, I've really enjoyed it.
Good.
There's so much to take in. I don't think I've really got my head around it all. I haven't acclimatized even. My face is still flushed and my pulse is all over the place.
It takes longer than a couple of weeks.
I think I've got a cold, actually.
I thought I heard you coughing.
I didn't sleep very well. Every time I lay down, I started to cough. I hope it didn't keep you awake.
No, not much.
Once I started, I couldn't stop.
I could say something to the doctor when I have my checkup. Ask him to have a look at you.
It's just a cold.
Yes.
I suppose I could get one of the thermometers just to make sure I haven't got a fever.
They sell them on the desk. Get some aspirin at the same time.
Hugh goes and buys a thermometer and comes back up to his room to try it out.
Just like James's. Okay, 70 seconds.
His heart is beating.
Do I really need it? Yes. I need to see if I have a fever and not just a cold. It's good to make sure that it's nothing serious. Just a cold.
He looks at his watch,
70 seconds.
puts the thermometer in his mouth. Time passing. Walking out onto the balcony, looking at the view. Coming back in again. looking at his watch.
Only 25 seconds. It feels like an age.
The seconds dragging by. He looks out again at the garden below.
I wonder if she ever walks there. I've never seen her there. I might bump into her, walk right by, see her face close up, just a couple of feet away, every strand of hair, her eyes. Every time our eyes meet, I feel as though I'm locked up with something inescapable, something inevitable. Oh, what am I feeling? A fear? Hope? I don't understand. Oh, shit, time's up. I completely forgot I had it in. What does it say? Hello. Oh, hi. Hi. Did you do it? Yes. And? I'm not sure. Not sure? Well, I think I have a bit of a temperature, yes.
So what is it?
99.7.
99.7?
Yes.
You sure?
That's what it said, I checked.
That's higher than me.
I know.
Do you feel feverish?
I've felt feverish ever since I got here. It's not about feeling, I've measured it.
99.7?
Yes.
You should be in bed.
I don't see why. You're running around quite happily.
That's different. You've got a fever.
Well, if it's just a fever, why should I stay in bed when everybody else is running around?
I had to stay in bed for a month when I first got
Oh,
here.
that's different. Your case is entirely different.
Yes, of course. Look, Hugh, I tell you what.
What?
I have my monthly checkup tomorrow, 2 o'clock.
Right?
Why don't you come with me and get him to look you over? Then he can tell you whether you should be in bed or not.
Fine. Whatever. I'd like to see what goes on at a checkup anyway, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Straight after lunch, okay?
It's a funny thing, but at lunch the next day, the meal is just about over and everyone's sitting chatting and finishing their creme caramel. Hugh is thinking,
I won't go to this checkup thing. I don't need one. Obviously, I'd look silly. It's just a time waster. I won't go.
and Madame Cite hasn't glanced at him once today, when suddenly, as the clock strikes 2, the beautiful Madame Cite slowly turns in her seat and gazes at Hugh quite deliberately,
Straight at me.
with a smile playing on her full lips, which seems to be saying quite openly,
Well, it's time. Aren't you going to go?
Oh,
he's shocked to the core. Can't believe his eyes.
does she know?
It certainly looks like it, doesn't it?
She knows.
And what about your plan to tell James that you won't bother after all?
It's time. You coming?
Yes, I'm coming.
James Simpson, let's have your shirt off. Yes, Doctor. Castthorpe, take a seat. We'll be with you shortly.
Oh, thank you.
While you're up here, you might as well take advantage of the facilities, yeah?
Yes.
You can take your shirt off, too.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Simpson, where's your chart? I put it on the desk. 0.7, 0.9, 0.8. No worse, but not much better either.
No.
I don't be like that, it takes time. I'm not magicians up here. Step up then, sir, and let me listen. Breathe in, out, in, out, about done, in, out. That's rough. Cough. Breathe in again, please. Cough again, please.
James is in such good shape. He's much fitter than me. He's looked after himself. He's always worked out. I wish I had. He looks like the young Apollo. But inside, he's ill. Illness makes people physical. It turns them into a body.
This train of thought is so disturbing to Hugh that he stops staring at James's ripped abs and looks up at his gentle dark eyes, which have tears in them now from all the forced coughs, and are gazing sadly into space.
All right, Lieutenant, as well as can be expected. You're due another scan in a month, aren't you? Well, let's hope we see a little improvement then.
But Doctor, how long do you think I'll have?
Oh, no, you can't believe me, sir. I told you another 6 months minimum.
But what if...
What's the problem? It's not the salt mines here, is it? It's not prison.
No, Doctor.
It's not so bad up here, is it? They make it reasonably comfortable. Life has its compensations.
Yes, Doctor.
That's the spirit. Dismissed. Next. Yes, your turn now.
Oh, sorry.
Breathe in. Out. In. Out. Turn round, please. No. Let's your breath again. Breathe in.
I beg your pardon.
All right, you can put your shirt on again. I never liked the look of you.
Sorry?
When you first came strolling in, I thought you might have to deal with something more than a desire for a short holiday in the mountains and the casual seductions of mere curiosity.
What are you saying, Doctor?
Your cousin here's getting the idea. Do you tire easily?
Yes, I
Does
suppose.
your heart beat hard sometimes?
Recently, yes.
Taste affected? Sense of smell?
Yes.
And a persistent cough. Well, you can go home if you want. But if you do, you'll be back here before you know it and in a much worse state. Oh, I won't answer for it. And then there's the awkward business of your temperature, isn't there?
I thought that was my cold, my fever.
I believe you've had a fever from the day you arrived here.
Yes. I think perhaps.
Right. First, we're going to stick you in bed and give you 3 weeks of complete rest. Then we'll take a pretty picture of your insides and hang it on the wall and have a good look at it. And we shall see what we shall see. But I give you fair warning, we don't deal in miracle cures. Understood?
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
Very good. Stand easy. Dismiss.
And there we must leave our hero, confined to quarters by order of Dr. Cromarsh, lying in the nice neat bed where once a Polish lady departed this life, with his meals brought to him by a nice trim nurse, staring out at his nice neat room, kept tidy by the pretty nurse, with his hands clasped behind his head, considering this pretty twist of fate. But his considerations are not at all neat, or tidy, or pretty. They are confused, ambiguous, positively murky. One moment he is pale with fear and alarm, and the next a triumphant laugh bubbles up from deep inside, convulsing him, and his heart pounds, aching with a wild joy and hope that he has never known before. A vision of Madame Claudia Cite floats before him.
Well, it's time.
My God, life's beautiful.
In episode 1 of The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, dramatised by Robin Brooks, Hugh Casthorpe was played by Luke Thallum, James Simpson by Hugh Skinner, Dr. Cromarsh, Sandy Grierson, Professor Jones, Richard Harrington, Claudia Cite, Genevieve Gaunt, Miss Robinson, Kezia Joseph, Marjorie, Georgina Strawson, Star, Ed Jones, and the narrator was Lucy Robinson. The Magic Mountain was produced and directed by Fiona McAlpine and was an Allegra production for BBC Radio 4.
The Magic Mountain continues at the same time next week. Open Book follows the news, but first an invitation to an encounter with a music legend. On BBC Radio 4.
Did that really even happen? I wonder as I drive in my rubber